Thank you for the floor, Mr. Speaker. Distinguished guests, Honorable Presidency, dear delegates, ladies and gentlemen. I recently moved into my university college dorm in Germany. Needless to say, there was plenty to get adjusted to. A great number of house rules and customs to comply with, the routine and strange habits of co-residents, the constant flow of happenings on the corridors, you name it. Nevertheless, moving in was the best decision I could possibly make. Taking up residence in a dorm provides us with a great deal of advantages compared to living separately. We share expenses and burdens, gain access to facilities we otherwise would not be allowed to benefit from. Our security is ensured. We become part of a varied and inspiring community, where all are willing to offer a helping hand if and when needed. Many years back, the founding fathers envisioned a similar opportunity. European cooperation, a state of mind anchored in a sentiment of unity, which leads the way out of prior toxic coexistence evidenced by historical cycles of destruction. They cherished the vision of creating a space characterized by peace, protection, and equal treatment, a space of the opportunities we can seize and the risks we can take, be it in your business, workplace, or personal life. A space breaking down barriers, enabling communication, access to information, and the free movement of goods, services, capital, and people. With this aspiration in mind, they laid the stone foundation of the apartment house of Europe. However, for this construct to stand strong, it required rigid frames supporting the structure. Therefore, supranational institutions, alongside with the actus communautaire, the legislative body of the Union, have been introduced. Schools of people fail to recognize that these are not merely laws and regulations. They are the essence of our common, yet diverse cultural heritage, our beliefs and values. They are the factors which make a European way of life possible. Underestimating their significance is the reason why people turn their backs to the Union when certain obligations, hardships, or threatening socioeconomic developments emerge. People incline towards taking our common space for granted, or even declare themselves willing to give it all up, longing for a different, a more familiar space, which they resemble with the key to avoiding the confrontation with problems. When there are unwashed dishes left behind in the community kitchen or a sudden burst pipe in the plumbing system, some rather lock themselves up within their four walls than contribute to resolving the issue. On Tuesday, we say we are in a rush when we sneak away from a flatmate asking us to help with changing the light bulb in their home, even though we struggle with the exact same chore all alone, balancing on a stool for at least half an hour on Sunday. What we need to understand when it comes to uneasy or challenging situations is that we are in them together. Most difficulties are universal, while several after are stored of competence. Issues like climate change, migration, terrorism, unregulated globalization, or unemployment do not respect borders. Not since the end of the Cold War have Europeans been confronted with a so common set of shared concerns. They are just as urgent in Moldova as they are here in Hungary or back in Germany. So why do we feel the urge to solve them within our borders, or by building borders? If history can teach us anything, it is that erecting walls and feeding the illusion of separation lacks any association to the reality of our interconnectedness. Over the course of the 20th century, the triumph of our community was testified. Attempts at othering and polarizing could never endure for as long as the European peace project succeeds and has succeeded. From first steps to foster economic collaboration, through extension to the single market, to the evolvement into a political union of 28 member states spanning numerous policy areas, the European Union has continued to develop towards its full potential to this very day. Currently, we are at a pivotal moment in the evolution of the European project. 2019 is the centenary of the signing of the Treaty of Versailles, the 75th anniversary of the D-Day, and the third decade since the fall of the Berlin Wall and the Iron Curtain. It is also this year that we elected our representatives for the 9th European Parliament and will hopefully see an end to the Brexit conundrum. At this moment of reflection on our past and decision about our future, there's a question we need to ask ourselves. Did we learn our painful lesson, or are we blindly committing the same mistakes again? And xenophobia, far-right tensions, and erupting nationalism. Are we building the same old walls and banging our heads against them? This behavioral tendency is the biggest challenge of the European Union today. A challenge which might as well cost us the whole of the Union as we know it today. In our community's future prospects, not specific problems like climate change or migration are the be-all and end-all. I strongly believe that we can overcome any obstacle with joint efforts and a clear goal in mind. The real problem is when our commitment to working together weakens. In retrospect of 8 legislative periods, the energy behind our actions began to drain. The structure started to dry out and to distill down to solely bureaucratic mechanisms. At grassroots level, people's perception has drifted from the European demos streamed of EU pioneers. What will be soon left behind is a complex and fatigued framework, which is too abstract for the everyday individual to digest. What is Europe now? Where is Europe when we need it, citizens ask. Losing the vision out of sight is when fear, arising from major global crisis, can prevail. As part of the future generation, it is our responsibility to point the path ahead for the Union. Survey suggests that it were young and first-time voters who drove turnout figures up at the elections this year. Let us use this momentum as a basis in reinforcing our European identity and dedication. At BudaREG, we are doing just that. Driven by will and conviction, as well as excitement and curiosity, we are here to take our future in our own hands. With our engagement, we contribute to the renaissance of our shared European legacy and come up with answers to a number of recent relevant concerns in the form of fruitful, constructive debates. I am eager to embark on this exciting journey with you, dear delegates, and sincerely hope you are just as thrilled as I am to be here. On that note, I would like to express my gratitude towards the organizing team of MEP Hungary for making it possible for us to become part of this impactful experience. MEP Hungary alumni and members of the European Youth Association, Daniela Katos, Nora Átvadi, Tamás Szemeti, Soma Ötvös, Flora Mayer, and Soma Lepeci made sacrifices and worked persistently, not seldom far into the night, to make this all possible. I would also like to say thank you for the help and welcomingness of our host families and volunteers here in Budapest. And last but foremost, I would like to thank you, dear delegates, committee presidents, and vice presidents for your participation. We all, together, will make the upcoming days memorable. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President, for this very amazing and very good welcoming words. First of all, it is my great honor and privilege to welcome here the Croatian ambassador here, and therefore I would like to ask the ambassador to address the delegations here.